All right, welcome. Here's one of our videos for car performance troubleshooting, hard starting, stalling, rough running, all these kinds of issues. We're going to deal with that today. It's going to be quite long. At the same time, we'll try to hit the point straight on. So first of all, when you have any conditions that are abnormal in your car, the best thing to do, if you have access, is to take a scan of the car, read out any codes that could be there, right? This video is made for everyone, so because I know there are people who may have never seen what an OBD scanner looks like, and there is no access to it within the area they live in. So this video is going to help you out, save you some time running around the car, so that you could pinpoint a lot of things, just by what you experience with the car's performance. So first of all, like I said, take a scan of the car if you have access to a scanner. This is what I use. I have the MB Star C3 in the car, but that is overkill just to check performance on the car. So this is fine. This is what I pull out anytime I have issues and I see a check engine light or whatever. I pull out this MaxiScan MS309 Autel. This is cheap, but does a very good job, and it will diagnose most of the problems that might keep your car running rough and stuttering. So if you have access to this, fine, read the codes and get a better approach from there. If you don't, yeah, that's why this video is here, so that we could run through a couple of things. Now, if you have a hard start where the car will crank and not start, one of the first things you look at is your fuel delivery. Is your car getting enough fuel to the engine, right? There was once a situation, I came across a Camry. A friend called me over. The car will crank, and they had some work on the door, so they concluded that they must have done some electrical issues, with the door. So I said that this might be a total coincidence. This has nothing to do with your door, some electrical issues, your fuel pump not delivering power. And after some slight arguments, they agreed and checked the fuel pump, and yeah, it was a fuel pump. It wasn't delivering any fuel. So if you have cranking and no start, it could be your fuel pump. Right now, might not just be the fuel pump. The whole fuel delivery system might have a restriction somewhere, like your fuel filter. Also attached to your pump is a small filter. I'll show you what a fuel pump looks like. To this point, there's usually a filter attached. This filter is to protect this pump from sucking in dirt and damaging itself. I once had a pump that this filter attached here got torn up and dirt got into the pump, and the pump died instantly on a certain day, and the car wouldn't start. So one of the things I like to do is get this pump out once in a while, take this filter out, clean it with carb cleaner, right? Sometimes I even wash it off with detergent, and then spray it nicely with carb cleaner until it's clean, and then I reinstall it in the pump. So it helps the pump suck in fuel efficiently. So it's a good practice to clean this pre-filter attached to the pump. I don't know what it's called, but I like to call it a pre-filter. I like to clean that very nicely to keep this pump clean inside and efficient, so it sucks in a good amount of fuel when it needs it, right? In fact, once I have cleaned this tank, I have to clean the tank of this car frequently, right? I just like to do that because we live in a place where you can pick up bad fuel anytime. So remember, one of the things you do, check the entire fuel system, starting from this pre-filter attached to your pump, small filter. I wish I could show you, but your technician wouldn't know how to get to it. Start with this filter, clean it up nicely. Now that ensures that the pump sucks in sufficient amount of fuel, right? Now you also check the main fuel filter, right? Check the main fuel filter, ensure it's good, right? If you are not sure about that and you can afford it, you change the fuel filter at once, right? Now it will also pay if you have any injector cleaners like a seafoam, put it through, clean the entire system, C4 also has the SS14 that you can spray into the intake to clean out the intake, right? But let's not drift. Let's say stick to what we're doing. So you're going to clean this pre-filter, get this pump sucking a sufficient amount of fuel and pushing it through the system. So you have to keep that fuel delivery system optimal by cleaning this filter, changing the main filter, and if you have access to a fuel pressure gauge, check the pressure of the fuel coming. Usually it's between 35 to say 55 psi, it should be on most cars, so check that you're within that range. So it means that once the car needs that burst of fuel to start, it gets sufficient and starts right up. If it's dull, like on my car, it's dull, right? My pump is weak, I know about that, so my start takes quite a while. I'm gonna show you how my start feels because I have a weak pump which I'm gonna sort out. So just gonna show you right here. My start takes a few seconds, but she starts right up. Right, you feel that, right? So it takes a little while because I have a pump that is weak, not so efficient, not so strong. So, but that's fine, I'm tackling that. All right, so like I said, take care of the fuel system. That's one. Two, look at your battery. Right, I had this funny problem, all the sensors were messing up, right? What happened was this connector right here, you see this one right here, what happened was it became rusty. Can you see that? And this was for the earth wire, the negative cable, so this wasn't making proper contact. In fact, on a certain day recently, the car totally refused to start. It would click as if the battery is dead. Click, click, you know, when I tried to fire up, and after a few tries it stopped. There was no action. You put the key, turn it, there was nothing, no lights, nothing. Putting a wire to the starter and the engine will not roll, so no roll on the engine, no start, nothing. So after a while we discovered that there was a lot of rust here, so the cabling here wasn't making good contact, I say, and it was making the car even start and stall. To start, stall, it will run rough. You know why I believe this was the one of the major causes was, I know that he put in new leads. You can see that nice clean leads, and the car doesn't start and stall anymore. It starts long because of the fuel pump, but it doesn't start and stall. It doesn't run very roughly because my earth is making good contact. The voltage going through all the sensors and the systems is fine. So this is something you also have to look at your batteries. Now if you've looked at all this, you've also looked at your spark plugs and wires and everything is fine, you would want to now look at your sensors, right? I'm an advocate for cleaning your sensors nicely, especially when you can't access new original parts, right? Some of these last a long time. You could try cleaning them to see. One sensor I'm always sensitive about is my airflow meter. I would like to keep that clean. So to keep it clean, I usually use methylated spirit in a spray bottle because I see things like CFC MAF cleaner online, but they are not just available where I am. So I like to use methylated spirit, and it does a good job cleaning my sensors. It's a very gentle but efficient cleaning liquid. So I use it to clean this sensor. I clean the hot film in the sensor. I like to also clean the connector. So I also do that for my camshaft sensor. Here's my camshaft sensor right here. I like to do that for my camshaft sensor once in a while, and I check all those sensors to see that they are working well. It's not a big job to clean your airflow meter. Get it clean so you're sure the car functions properly. You know, the airflow meter is very, very crucial to the drivability of your car, so you have to always keep it clean. So these are some of the things you could do, right? So keep it clean and smooth flowing fuel delivery system. That's one. Keep your battery properly connected. The terminals must be very clean. Everything must be very clean, right? So check your sensors. Those are the things you need to do if you have a hard start condition, you have stalling, you have all sorts of funny issues. Now, I cannot overemphasize the need to keep your airflow meter optimal. It's such a crucial sensor to the functioning of your car. I discovered that is one sensor that could mess your car up a lot. If your airflow meter is misbehaving, your car will have all sorts of funny problems. So keep your airflow meter clean. If you have access to original parts, change them if your car is over 100,000 miles. Also check for errors from your oxygen sensors. You will have errors like say sensor circuit too low on your O2 sensors. Remember, this here is bank 1. On the left, on the V6, this is bank 2. If you're sitting in the driver's seat, you have left and right, so that will be left and that will be right. But if you're standing in front of the car and you hear bank 1 is on your left side, bank 2 is on your right side. So cylinder 1 is in bank 1 right here, first cylinder here. This would be cylinder 1. So you would have codes like system tooling, bank 1, bank 2. Those usually point to fuel delivery issues. But if you have too lean on one bank 1 or bank 2 isolated over time, it could be a sensor beginning to misbehave, send the wrong signal. So it pays a lot to read out codes when you're doing any kind of troubleshooting for your car. So I hope we're picking a few insights from this, so that you don't jump around. And I've seen cars where they pull a lot of wires, strip the car down just to diagnose a hard start problem. Usually it's not that hard. If the car can start once in a while, then you just go straight to the problem. Check the fuel delivery, check the fuel pressure coming into the engine. It's required to be strong to keep the engine running smooth, so that when these sensors demand a change of pressure, demand a certain type of running on the ECU is going to respond fine because it's getting sufficient fuel. But if not, it's going to act funny because I require this amount of fuel to make this amount of power, but I'm not getting it. So you're going to feel the car start to vibrate and all that kind of rough running condition. So that's how you diagnose your hard start, stalling, idling, rough idling, and all that. So I'll just go through the points again. Check your battery terminals, make sure you have a strong connection and your batteries are strong. 1, 2, check all the preliminary issues like your spark plugs, make sure they are clean, firing properly. Remember, if your spark plugs are not firing properly, you're going to have things like burning on the tips, white tips, all sorts of funny things, oil. But these will point you to something else. If your spark plugs are not firing, they could be due to something else. You understand? It could be due to the engine not working properly, which might be because the sensor is not working properly, so the mixture is not fine and the spark plugs are getting foul and soiled. So these are things you need to really look at when you're troubleshooting your car. Now you've checked all those preliminary things. Now you check your fuel system. That is the most crucial one. Make sure the fuel has good pressure. Clean the filter attached to the fuel pump, the small filter that told usually attached to the base of the fuel pump. Make sure that filter is clean. If you can change it, you put a new one. If you can change your fuel pump, make sure you check out the fuel and keep the fuel pump clean. Very good clean. I don't care if you clean all the time. Have a good clean. Check the main fuel filter. Make sure you have no fuel leaks in your fuel line. You can't have fuel leaks. Right? Have fuel leaks in to a mess. You have to fix it. So make sure you have no leaks in your fuel line. Very crucial. Now, also check your sensors. Clean them, especially your air flow meter. Most times the airflow meter has the intake air temperature sensor integrated, so it pays to clean all those. Use methylated spirit in a spray bottle, clean it, spray it richly, nicely. If you can even have this in a cup and soak the sensor inside so that all the dirt drop, pick it up, after a few minutes, and then spray it down, to get rid of all the dirt, to pay you. So clean the airflow meter, check your O2 sensors. Now there's also something I may be skipping. Your catalytic converter is very important. If your car is coming of age, that catalytic converter may be getting blocked. 100 and something thousand mile cars usually have this problem. I've seen so many of them, rough running, not having power, climbing up a hill, all this kind of issues. It could be that you're having a clogged up catalytic converter. So change it, right? Do something about it, and your car will be happy. I had a C-Class once, and I had terrible issues, months and months of issues. It turned out to be my catalytic converters were burnt, completely destroyed, and they were in the car, blocking the exhaust stream. I'm just going to show you what a burnt catalytic converter looks like now, and how bad it could be for your car. Just give me a sec to pick that up. All right. So I was talking of my fuel pump where I had leaks. You see that? That is not the original hose, but I had to do that to cure, a leak. So let me find that piece of catalytic converter. So this is the catalyst. This is an example of a badly burnt catalyst. Can you see that? And this would happen if your car is misfiring too badly over time, too poorly. This is gonna totally get destroyed. And if your catalytic converter ever gets to this stage, your car is not going anywhere. It's going to shake, overheat, spill water, like it's going to be totally sick. So this is something to check. If you don't have power climbing up a hill, and you've checked your fuel system and all is good, you've changed what needs to be changed, like your filter, you could afford a new pump, and you've done that, and still you have issues, revving, having full power, the car engine vibrates, get unnecessarily hot. You can want to look at this. This is a common problem, but a lot of people don't focus on it. This catalytic converter could get blocked, burnt. Sometimes I've seen it get destroyed inside the exhaust pipe. So let's always focus on checking this out. So those are some of the things you could do to get your car running well again. It's not a lot. The fuel system, the battery, the airflow meter, oxygen sensors, catalytic converter. These are some of the most common issues I've seen cars face, and once we focus in those directions, we get the car running again, running smooth and strong, right? So hope this video helps someone. Thanks for watching. Have a very good day.